Oh my god. How do you have courage in the face of loss? Grief is love with no place to go. Right? So I grieve them, and I have to keep moving on and direct that love elsewhere.
Okay.
How are we doing?
Hi, I'm Charlie Burns. I'm here with Aiden Jackson.
Hi. My name is Aiden Jackson.
Yeah, how old are you?
I am 33 years old.
Where are you right now?
I am in Brooklyn, New York with Charlie and Ava.
Where do you live?
I currently live in Waterford, New York.
What do you do for a living?
I am the Assistant Director of Graduate Admissions for a higher education institution near Albany.
Now, do you align with the gender that you were prescribed at birth?
Oh, fuck no. No, Jesus Christ, no. No. No, I never have, definitely not. I identify as non-binary, which, falls under the trans umbrella, so yeah, I'm transgender. Yeah, so I was born a female, and I will never truly know what it's like to be a cis male, so it's hard for me to identify as a male. So, but I know for damn sure I am not a female, or what society says a female should be. I do not feel like that, but I know that I am not a cis male and my brain does not work as such. What is gender? Gender is a social construct. It's not real. Gender is just made up in our heads, and we're supposed to fit society norms about what we should look like and feel like and act like.
What's the difference between sex and gender?
Sex is the anatomy you're born with, and gender is the society norm that you're supposed to fit. Because I truly believe that gender is a social construct, and once you break out of the norm, you're allowed to be whoever the hell you want to be. Like, do I think my life would have been easier if I started earlier? Absolutely. Like in 2013, before I started a career and like my coaching career of 10 years, that was another big hard part, because when I was coaching, I couldn't talk about my past without revealing the fact that I was transgender. And before a kid ever committed, I made sure, because I lost 2 kids their freshman year. Once they figured out I was trans, they got the fuck out. Yeah. So I learned, even at that age, because their parents have so much fucking influence on them, and it's such a negative connotation to it. Yeah, but so sometimes I wish I would have started in 2013 when I really wanted to, and I think that would have helped with a ton of my anger issues and my up and down mood swings and everything. It would have made my career a lot easier, after, if I started before I started my coaching career, but I'm grateful for the journey, for everything.
What support in your life could you have used that would have helped you transition, in 2013? What would have allowed you to do that?
That's a great question. Just having more literature about it, having more representation of the trans community at that time. I think it comes down to just a better sense of community. That's what I needed, was a better community. And that's something I always looked for, and I'm finally found it where I'm currently living, which is I'm so fucking grateful. But yeah, right, it's awesome. But I think the biggest thing would have just been community is what I wish I had.
And you say you found that community now?
Yeah.
What kind of community is it?
It's so fun, man. It's so supportive and loving. We read tarots. We just talk about deep shit and meaningful, and there's no small talk. It's just fucking fun.
Is it other trans people, other queer people?
Queer people, a couple trans people, yeah. Trying to think if there's any heterosexuals in my life. I know.
You got Ava now.
I need representation.
I'm your first.
You're not my first, no. Some of the people I date identify as hetero, so that's interesting. But yeah.
You just know all the good queers, don't you?
I love the good queers, yeah.
I love them.
Love you back. I have so much fun with them. Back. They're good people.
Oh, it's so much better to be queer.
Yeah.
So how did you know, or when did you know that you weren't the sex they assigned you at birth?
So that's a good question, and always hard to pinpoint. When I look at pictures of my past, I can recall like the feeling of not wanting to be that person, right? But other than that, we would have a conversation. Like one time my sister and I had a conversation, and I was like 11 or 12, and she was saying something about how much it would suck to have a penis. And in my mind, like, I thought it wouldn't be that bad, you know, like I would kind of enjoy it. So I would say that would be like the first memory I have where I'm like, I don't know, you know. But if I look at pictures, like I'm a twin. So there's pictures of my brother and I on our birthday blowing out. We had separate cakes. My parents were great. We had separate cakes, just blowing out our cakes. And I remember looking back on that and being like, that's just not who I was. And I was probably like 4 or 5 in that picture. So yeah, those are memories that come out.
Nice. When did you decide to like go public with your transition?
So I first came out when I was 18. And then from the time I was 18 to the time after my 30th birthday, I came out to 3 people in those 12 years. And then after my 30th birthday, I just cried. And I cried so much on my 30th because it was just not who I was wanting to be, like, at all. And I was going to delay transitioning until my parents passed, but at the end of the day, I'm like, that's not fair to me. And if they don't want to know who I currently am, then that's on them. And so I came out February of, 2021. And then I started transitioning in March, and I had surgery in June. Wow. So it all went really quickly.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, yeah.
Had you been thinking of it for a while? Or?
Forever, yeah. Yeah. I mean, for 12 years after I first admitted it, I was like, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, being a college athlete on a full Division I scholarship, none of that was an option. So I wanted to come out in 2013, but that's when Caitlyn Jenner came out. And my mom was just so hateful towards it, just the entire concept, that I was like, nope. And I ran my trans ass right back into the closet for 7 more years.
So when you say coming out, you mean like coming out as a trans person?
Yeah, like socially, publicly, to my family and friends, like more so than I had to the 3 people that I really trusted at that time in my life.
What were those 12 years like when you like knew you wanted to transition, but you had only come out to 3 people?
It was tough. That's a good question. It was really hard. The hardest part was being on a women's basketball team in 2009 in South Carolina. Like I would no way in hell, right? So the locker room was by far the most uncomfortable place for me. So I would get in and get out really quick, really quick. And then women's bathrooms that was just not fun. Those 2 were the biggest issues, but because I did not dress or act very feminine, so I didn't really belong. Like, I'm way more comfortable using the men's bathroom, and I have been ever since, like, 2 months on testosterone. Like, as soon as my face started to square off a little bit more and I was able to go into the men's bathroom, like, there's no insecurity about it anymore.
Yeah. When you go into the men's bathroom, you just go in a stall? Yeah,
for sure. And if it's, like, busy, like, I'll go outside and, like, you know, mess around for a while until I see somebody come out, then I'll go back in.
Okay. I was imagining you weren't using a urinal.
No, I did one time. I had to go to the bathroom so bad in a hotel. In a hotel lobby. I went to go see one of my former bosses, and we were just hanging out in his hotel room talking for like an hour and a half, and before I left, I was like, I'm just going to use the bathroom really quick, right? But there was only one stall and one urinal, and so the dude in the stall, like, I waited 5 minutes, dude still didn't come out, so then I went and I just sat down in the urinal and prayed to God nobody came in.
Did anyone come in?
No. Yeah. So you do what you gotta do.
Go, Aiden, go.
Yeah,
go.
Yeah, you do what you got. As a female to male perspective, it is completely different than a female or a male to female's perspective. And I understand that and I realize that. But for me, looking like I look, and I'm incredibly grateful I pass, my life has become so much easier after transitioning. Like, it's night and day how much better my life is. So are there any hard aspects? You know, like, sure, I get nervous when I apply for jobs and people run the background check and they're gonna know I'm transgender, but I work in higher education where diversity is welcome, and being of that community is welcomed and needed. So other than that, not much. Like if I meet strangers, not talking about my past, and like when people talk about the transgender, I'll speak up, but even that is like I'll speak up quickly and get the fuck out of there. Like, it's not that I hide being transgender, but I'm not open about being transgender because I am very well of the hatred. So just not hiding that identity, but not being open with that part.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But like people in my life, everybody in my life knows it. My coworkers know. Everybody knows it, as long as it feels safe for you to know it. But then again, there's a trans flag hanging in my bathroom. So if the guy uses my bathroom, like... So, and there's trans art in my apartment. So, yeah, I love trans art. It's the best.
In what way did life become easier for you after you transitioned?
So, like I was just telling Ava, like, I didn't fit that feminine role like society wanted me to. And now I fit that masculine role that society wants me to. So I just... when I get pulled over, I'm not worried about it because everything's legally changed and there's no way for a cop to ever know that. Compared to when I identified as a female, like I would get judged hard because there was no doubt about it. I was part of the LGBT community. There was absolutely no question. I had a sweet eyebrow piercing too. It was nice.
So you can because you can pass as a cis man, even though you're not a cis man, like things are easier just for that reason.
100%. I tell everybody that I talk to, it's like night and day, the way male and females are treated. Oh my God. Yeah, women get shit on so hard, at least in my personal experience, compared to what I look like now. But I'm also way more attractive now than I ever was as a female.
Advantages.
No, and yeah, women definitely have advantages, but society looks down on you guys, for sure. And, like, people listen when I speak now. They don't cut me off. My opinions are taken seriously. And I don't know if it's, like, where I was professionally and personally in my life that, like, maybe that's why it wasn't. But in my experience, like, this is what I found. Yeah.
Do you ever wish you would transition sooner?
Okay, so it would have been after college, right? Just because being on a full ride, that was never an option, and I knew that. And then I wanted to come out in 2013, but that didn't happen. So yeah, I did after college for sure, but I'm really, really glad that I waited as long as I did because it gave me the endurance to endure so much bullshit, and it helped me become the person I am today. And I feel like if I got surgery or went on T earlier than I did, I would not be the human that I am today. Yeah, so, kids transitioning is tough for me because I think people seriously need to figure out who they are in their natural given body before doing any medical treatment at all. I feel like you have to endure the bullshit in order to really know who you are. But I have a really good friend who is male to female, and her theory is like, but if I started hormone blockers when I was 11, I never would have gotten facial hair. I never would have had to have need to have surgery in order to remove it, and like that's noticeable. Which, from my perspective, all I had to do was get top surgery and start testosterone. Like, that's the only thing I did, and nobody knows ever, right? So, my experience with, like, kids transitioning and hormone blockers is going to be so much different than a male to female transgender and a trans woman's experience. So, but I'm glad I waited. I'm really glad I waited. And like, I lost really important people to me, but at the end of the day, like, I feel like they lost me. And, but who I was then is not the person I am today. Like, I was not comfortable. I was unhinged. I was unhinged in a bad way. And I was just not put together. I was not secure. I was just not happy. Well, identity is who you are, and it's not a fad. That's the biggest thing with identity that bothers me right now, is like everybody thinks it's like cool to be transgender, and it's like, this life is hard as fuck. Are you kidding me? Like, I met this guy who doesn't know I'm transgender, one of my neighbors, and he comes up and, you know, I have no idea what he thinks about that community, so I don't talk about my past. Like, we were watching a basketball game, and they were playing at Ohio State, which is a court that I've played on, right? And so, like, all those memories of me playing at Ohio State were, like, flashing up. And I wanted to talk about it so much, but I couldn't do it because that means I would have to get into my past, which means I would have to say I'm transgender. Which I don't mind in general, but this dude lives in my building, you know, and safety is a huge fucking concern. So, yeah.
What advice would you give a kid who is transitioning or wanting to, or just confused, or?
Yeah. So there's a ton of like non-binary transgender books geared towards kids, and even DC came out with this amazing queer like comic book.
Seriously?
Yeah, my friends have it. I
That's
read it. I was
incredible.
reading it on Monday night. It's freaking awesome. So like, get like kid directed literature for the kids, and be open to the conversation socially. Let the kid be who the kid wants to be. It's social. Who cares? Who cares if your son wants to wear a dress? Really, it's not going to affect your life in any way. Let the kid be the kid, right? Be open to the conversation. Talk about it. Go see doctors. Go see a therapist, right? Take time. This is an entire life-changing event. Take the time to really, really figure it out before medically jumping in. Again, socially, dive off head first. Have fun. But medically, take your time. There's no rush. There's no rush. Even though it sucks. Like, yeah, being a teenager with breasts when you don't want breasts and, like, not taking off your bra during sex fucking sucks. It fucking sucks, right? But do you know how much I love my chest now? And I'm so grateful. Like, it is the best part of my body. And I'm so happy that I have what I have. But I'm also really glad that I endured all those awkward moments of not wanting them and being uncomfortable. Because it makes me so much more comfortable in who I am now. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Good question.
What does it take to be trans?
Courage. Like, everybody, when I first came out, everybody was like, you're so brave, you're so brave. And I was like, I'm not brave. Like, I've always been who I wanted to be. I'm courageous as fuck for starting the medical transition, though. But I'm not brave. I've always been who I am, you know? But, no. Courage and just being okay with the fact that you're going to lose some important people. Hopefully not, but majority of the time, you're going to lose some people. And you have to be okay with that.
How do you have courage in the face of loss?
Oh my god. How do you have courage in the face of loss? Grief is love with no place to go. Right? So I grieve them, and I have to keep moving on and direct that love elsewhere. But I'm good with what I look like. I'm good with who I am. Like, my biggest thing was my breasts, and they're gone, so I'm Gucci.
Do you know anyone that detransitioned?
I don't. No, I could never imagine detransitioning.
Yeah.
I just am so much happier and calm and at peace with who I am now that's just not. Just.
Do you think people who... Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think people who do weren't trans to begin with?
Oh, man. It's hard for me to speak on, just because I don't understand it enough that I don't want to. I think you are exactly who you are in that moment of time. And you have to embrace that version, whoever that version is. There's nothing wrong with detransitioning at all. And if somebody decides, you know what, this isn't for me, then it's not for them, and there's no judgment, no anything. Okay, this is now, you're back to being who you are, or whoever the hell you choose to be next, support, love, and move on with it. But I don't know enough about detransitioning, and ever since I started this journey up until now, I never even considered that, because it's just been so beneficial for me, like mentally, physical, emotional, spiritual. I've just learned how to let people in, for sure. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the journey. I'm Aiden Jackson. Thanks for the interview.
This is Ava, Aiden, Charlie.
It's been fun. I'm glad people finally got me in front of the camera.
Weekend at Burnstrong. We love
Alright,
you.
this was fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
This was fun.
I wish I'd had more burning questions.
Yeah.
We can do more. I mean, just,
Oh, okay.
yeah.